of yourselves. You walk, jump, sleep, eat and do a number of physical activities each day. But have you ever thought of something like, is there any framework to support our body? If yes, then how are they arranged? In this video, we will be learning about the human skeletal system and the bones associated with each part. Humans have a skeletal system consisting of bones and cartilage. The human skeletal system plays an important role in body movements. Recall that bones and cartilage are examples of connective tissue. Have you ever thought about why bones have a hard structure? They are made of calcium salts. Then what constitutes cartilage? They are made up of chondroitin salts. Recall that there are 206 bonds in our human body. To ease our learning, we can categorize them into two divisions, that is, axial and appendicular skeletons. First, let us discuss the axial skeletons. These belong to the core part of the body, or we can say that those parts form the body axis. Axial skeleton comprises of 80 bonds. The appendicular skeleton is a combination of 126 bonds. Come, let us try to list the axial skeletons one by one. The skull, the vertebral column, the sternum, the rib cage or the thoracic cage belongs to the axial skeleton. First, let us learn more about the skull and the arrangement of bones in it. A human skull comprises of 22 bones. We can classify the human skull into cranial and facial bones. Let me ask you a question now. Name the organ that serves as the center of the nervous system. Yes, it is the brain. The brain has to be protected from damage and other injuries. And these cranial bones cover the brain and supports the brain. Is cranial made up of only one bone? No. The cranial bones are 8 in number. The occipital bone at the back of the cranium contains a foramen magnum through which the brain continues as a spinal cord. We can understand that there are two occipital condyles, one on either side of the foramen magnum, and we call such a skull a dicondylic skull. Recall that the frogs also have a dicondylic skull. How will you term those skulls with a single occipital condyle? Yes, we call them monocondylic skulls, and the members of fish, reptiles and birds have such a monocondylic skull. The frontal part of the skull is of facial bones that are made up of 14 skeletal elements. Another U-shaped bone that is present in the lower region of the buccal cavity is also included, and we call them as the hyoid bone. It is also known as the tongue bone. We have now completed learning the basic features of the skull and the facial bones. The next part we will be discussing is the bone of the ear. The bones of the ear are the malleus, incus and the stapes. There are a total of 6 bones in 2 ears and they are known as the ear ossicles. The ear bone are the smallest in the body. The next part we shall study is the vertebral column. There are 26 vertebrae arranged in adult vertebrates. And what about babies? They have 33 vertebrae. How are they arranged? These vertebrae are dorsally placed. These extend from the base of the skull and they constitute the main framework of the trunk. Each vertebra has a central hollow portion called the neural canal through which the spinal cord passes down. Let us now check the arrangement of 26 serially arranged vertebrae. To learn the arrangement of bones, let us divide the backbone into 5 regions. The first is the neck region, which comprises the cervical vertebrae, marked as C1 to C7. and they are 7 in number. The next is the chest region, which contains the thoracic vertebrae. There are 12 in number, marked as T1 to T12. Next comes the lumbar vertebrae, which belongs to the abdominal region, and they are 5 in number. The hip region has got a sacral vertebrae and has 1 fused sacrum, that is 5 fused to 1. Then comes the tail region, which has got the caudal vertebra and is also a fused vertebrae, that is 4 fused to 1. That is the coccyx. It is the vestigial in humans. And for easy remembering, let us formulate a vertebral formula. For adults, it is C7, T12, L5, S1 and CD1. The one given in brackets are the fused one. So far, we have learned the arrangement of the vertebral column. Humans have one breastbone named as the sternum and is attached to the diaphragm. It's time to check the various functions associated with the vertebral column. The vertebral column supports the head, safeguards the spinal cord, and acts as a support at which ribs and the back muscles attach. Now, it's time to check the arrangements of the ribs. Humans have 12 pairs of ribs, and each rib has a thin, flat structure. And how are they arranged? As you can see on the screen, these bones are connected dorsally to the vertebral column and ventrally to the sternum through a hyaline cartilage. A peculiar feature of human ribs is that they are bicephalic. And what does the word bicephalic mean? That is, there are 2 articulation surfaces. Let us categorize the ribs as true ribs, false ribs and floating ribs. The first 7 pairs are called the true ribs. You have to keep in mind that dorsally they are attached to the thoracic vertebrae and ventrally connected to the sternum with the help of hyaline cartilage. Or we could say that they are directly attached to the sternum through the intercostal cartilage. The 8th, 9th and the 10th ribs are also known as vertebrochondral ribs. And these ribs are indirectly attached to the sternum through the intercostal cartilage of the 7th rib. Hence, they are known as false ribs. The 11th and the 12th, that is the last 2 pairs, have no ventral connections with the sternum. So we call them as the floating ribs. We have studied the arrangement of ribs now. Let me ask you a question now. What constitute a rib cage? Thoracic vertebrae, ribs and sternum together form the rib cage. It's time to learn more about the appendicular skeleton now. A total of 126 bones belongs to the appendicular skeleton. What constitute the appendicular skeleton component? Pectoral girdles, pelvic girdles and the bones of arms and legs constitute the appendicular skeleton. Let us find out each one in detail. Each limb has 30 bones. Let us check the number of bones in each arm. The upper arm has 1 bone, that is the humerus. And the lower arm has 2 bones, and that is radius and ulna. The distal end of the humerus articulates with the radius ulna to form the elbow. The wrist bone are 8 in number and known as carpals, arranged 4 in each row. The metacarpals are the palm bones and the human body has 5 metacarpals each. If you check the finger part, there are 14 bones named phalanges. In the case of legs, there are 30 bones in each leg. Let us now check the bone arrangement. The single longest bone of the body, the femur, is present in the thigh region. Let us check the features of the femur. It is the strongest, heaviest bone of the human endoskeleton. Then comes to the kneecap, that is a patella, is seen here. Patella is an ossification of tendons. We call such structures sesamoid bones. There is also a single bone seen. Next, shank is composed of tibia and fibula, that is 2 bones. Here, the tibia is a stronger bone while the fibula is a weak bone. 7 bones are seen in the ankle part and are known as tarsals. Metatarsals are seen in the sole part with 5 bones. Hind limbs or toes have 14 bones known as phalanges. Next, we shall study more about pectoral and pelvic girdles. Pectoral girdles are the shoulder girdles, composing of 4 bones. Each half comprises of a clavicle or a collarbone, the scapula bones. The clavicle is a long slender bone with 2 curvatures. The scapula is a large triangular flat bone situated in the dorsal part of the thorax between the 2nd and the 7th rib. The acromion is the bony tip of the outer edge of your shoulder blade that comes off the top of the back side of this bone. It meets with your end of your collarbone, that is the clavicle, at your shoulder. The glenoid cavity is seen below this structure. It is a small depression that articulates with the head of the humerus to form the shoulder joint. Finally, the pelvic girdle or the hip girdle. 2 coxal bones constitute the pelvic girdle. You may ask then, how is a coxal bone formed? Here is the answer. Ilium, ischium and pubic bone fuse and forms a coxal bone. At the point of fusion, you will be able to see a cavity called an acetabulum. It is to the acetabulum that the thigh bone articulates. Another structure is the pubic symphysis. The 2 halves of the pelvic girdle, which is the left and the right pelvic girdle, meets ventrally. The structure contains a fibrous cartilage. We have seen our grandparents complaining about the joint pains, right? Do all joints have a similar structure? Let us find out in the next video. Now, let us summarize what we have learnt.
Manorama Horizon. Learning made simple.